Good day, everyone, and welcome to another Preferred Partner ILMT webinar installment around subcapacity license reporting. Today we're going to focus on current ILMT version 7X and TAD4D users and what you need to know about ILMT version 9 and kind of upgrade or the migration path to there. Again, my name's Eric Maxwell. I'm one of our software asset management solution leads. I'll also be joined on this webinar by Bay Van Horn, who is a senior IBM tools and licensing models consultant, along with Anna Pullman, who's our ILMT solutions architect. We've got a really an action-packed amount of content for you today. Number one, I'm going to go ahead and give you an overview or commercial around Preferred Partner. I'll also cover why upgrade, when to migrate, and what's new with ILMT version 9. I'll turn it over to Bay, Bay will cover some of the architecture, deployment architecture requirements, and some of the ILMT challenges. Anna Pullman will cover some of the implementation piece of it, the version 7 and version 9 migration path, along with a short live demo for you. And then we'll wrap things up with an ILMT deployment services and SAM management offering from Preferred Partner, and some of our ongoing managed services and SAM strategy. So kicking things off, a little bit of an introduction to Preferred Partner. For those that don't know, we are a premier IBM business partner that provides dedicated practice groups focused on delivering of IBM software solutions and professional services. We've been in business since 2000. We're an IBM-only partner. We are the third largest for 2015 IBM net new reseller in North America, and we sell the full stack of IBM solutions and understand IBM's complex licensing metrics better than anyone and consider ourselves experts in that field. We do have a professional services side of the house as well that has highly skilled IBM consultants and consulting practice. It's around the majority of IBM software brand and portfolio. And then, of course, we do have a dedicated asset management practice that ties right into the IBM license metric tool. And I do want to point out we are recognized by IBM as the leader or go-to partner in software asset management, focusing on, obviously, implementation, configuration, and managed services there. So kicking right into the content, for those of you on the phone that already have 7X or TAD4D, the biggest change you're going to see with version 9 is it is built on BigFix technology. For those of you that are not BigFix customers or have not seen the tool before, BigFix is a 20-year solution. It's a policy-driven agent solution that's been in the marketplace for quite some time. It is recognized as an industry leader by the Gartner Magic Quadrant for client management tools. It does allow for real-time discovery of assets and is a policy management solution for all assets online and offline. So you're going to see, and one of the nice things with version 9 is with being powered by BigFix is there are many other functions of the tool that allow beyond just PVU reporting that we can talk about as well. So why upgrade to ILMT version 9X? There are a number of upgraded features and functionality. Won't go through them all, as we will send this slide deck out to everyone, but just kind of a high-level cover of some of the robust reporting that gives you additional snapshots that are available in version 9. Allows for a much more customization of the tool across your IBM software products. There is an enhanced inventory details. There's an enhanced dashboard as well that's going to provide an overview of the most important information about your software infrastructure or software assets in your infrastructure. And as I mentioned, it is on that BigFix platform, so you can do a lot of other things beyond PVU. There are other modules available. One thing I do want to point out, as probably most of you know, but if not on the phone, version 7.2 does go into life here in September of 2016, and then ILMT version 7.5 goes into life on next year, April in 2017. So obviously the support on those two platforms will be going away. Thus, moving on to version 9 will be probably mission critical for your organization. Now, unlike version 7.2 and 7.5, there is now access to historical data that can be modified if needed in version 7.9. The audit reporting, it no longer needs to be signed every quarter. It now provides a clear understanding of actions that have influenced the calculations, and the audit actions data includes the type of action, the date it occurred, and the user that performed the action. So there's a lot more detail in the reporting, and you no longer need to sign and turn those in every quarter. Now, on the roadmap that's up and coming, there's two features that are really coming up that are important to most of you. One is your service provider features, and another is your non-PBU software reporting. So from the service provider feature perspective, there's going to be a creation of customized views of audit reports that are going to allow you to assemble utilization by organizational groups such as department or cost center there. So some of the grouping will be different. And obviously a big one here is your non-PBU software reporting. So obviously ILMT obviously tracks your PBU right now, but as new product releases and versions are going to be coming out, there are going to be upcoming enhancements that will expand your auditing capabilities that will now report against non-PBU products. So really giving you a full spectrum of your IBM software entitlements there moving forward with version 9. I'll now turn it over to Bay Van Horn. Again, Bay's one of the senior IBM tools and licensing models consultants that will help you with when to migrate and go through some of the architecture.
Thank you, Eric. Good morning to one and all. So we'll dive into it. I presume, obviously, everybody can read and you'll get the slides. So looking at this deck here, the question you need to ask yourself on whether I want to start with a clean install of version 9 or I want to retain my version 7.5 data, the question you need to ask yourself is the following. How much effort, work effort, have you done in bundling and exclusions in version 7.5? How comfortable do you feel with the accuracy of your audit reports coming out of 7.5? And I ask that question because over the last 7 or 8 years, I've probably worked with 1,000+ customers. And frankly, many do not spend a significant amount of time in ILMT. And therefore, at this point in time, the quality of data that they have in version 7.5 or version 7.2.2 is minimal. If I live in that state, if my quality of information in version 7 is not that robust, if I've not put in a great deal of effort in ensuring quality and accurate reporting, then I'm likely going to select not to migrate, but certainly simply to treat version 9 as a clean install. And let's talk about the term migration here. Version 9, as Eric stated, is based upon a totally new architecture. That's the big fix architecture. So in essence, what we are talking about on this deck here, on this slide, as it pertains to moving from 7.5 to version 9, it is a rip and replace operation. Version 9 will be installed as a brand new infrastructure. What we talk about when it comes to migration is migrating not the data, not upgrading the ages, but migrating the bundling decisions, the exclusion decisions that you might have made in the version 7.5 console. And again, if you've done a lot of that, you should likely migrate. If you've done none of that, treat version 9 as a clean install. Now, there will be a slide a wee bit further down in the presentation that Anna will provide to you with more details, but the key for you here is to determine just how complete, how much work effort you put into 7.5 and whether that quality of data is worth preserving. Your version 9 will start off as essentially a clean install, whether you choose to migrate the version 7.5 decisions over or not. It's still a clean install in version 9. Next slide, please. For those of you that are coming from version 7, whether it's ILMT or TAD4D, this chart identifies the high-level differences between 4 products here. The left 2 columns, BFI, SUA, that's Big Fix Inventory, or SUA, that is the product upgrade from TAD4D, the multi-vendor product. I know we're not specifically talking about BFI here, but if you have TAD4D licenses, you are entitled with a small uplift charge to Big Fix Inventory. And then the middle 2 columns are focused on ILMT. The far right column is the old TAD4D. The key changes here. Version 9 is far more scalable than version 7.5. Version 7.5, typically you might get somewhere around 15,000 to 20,000 agents into an ILMT server. We have customers running 200, 250,000 plus endpoints on version 9. The architecture of ILMT, or version 7.5, was a very flat 2-tiered architecture, agents reporting to the server. Version 9 has a multi-tier architecture with what we call relays, and what that provides for you is a lot of stability and hopefully a reduction in agent reporting problems, those agents that go offline, missing scan data, that type of thing, those statuses. The last 2 lines are part of the items that Eric was alluding to, and I do need to make a small correction to this slide, and folks, I provided it to Eric. On contract management, Big Fix Inventory does have a limited contracts module, but enough that you could do variance reporting. ILMT does not have a contracts module. The last line, however, is critical. There is an ISO standard for asset management, how to create asset tags and that type of thing, and that is the basis for discovery of most asset management tools, IBM's tool set included. The -4 tag noted there is the standard for instrumenting software to produce tags for those non-PVU license, the authorized user, the concurrent user, the install base, number of endpoints, so forth and so on. ILMT, Big Fix Inventory of version 9.2.2 and higher, I believe, are capable of recognizing, reading, and processing those tags. What that means is, again, and I think there might be a slide further down, we are capable of generating reports of not only the processor value unit, the RVU, resource value unit, MAPC, but also other licensing models. ILMT is capable of doing that today. The challenge is, and IBM has a mandate in 2016, that any product that we ship be capable, be instrumented to produce these -4 tags. So if you have a rational product, Cognos, FileNet, any number of products that might be measured or licensed by something other than a subcap metric, a processor metric, the current or GA version by year end of that product should be capable of producing the -4 tag and therefore be capable of being reported in ILMT or in Big Fix Inventory. That is a significant change from what you see in version 7 of either product. Next slide, please. So I guess going into a little bit more detail on what Eric was talking about, differences between 7 and 9. I'm going to start with the first bullet, the displays of more detailed collected data. In version 7, we collected a lot of really cool and interesting information that you never got to see. It was buried in our databases. It was used conceivably for our PVU calculations. And you as a consumer are looking at how did IBM arrive at these numbers? It makes no sense to me. And it was difficult to try to answer those questions because you were not able to see the data. You now are able to see a lot of that information that you were not, that we're collecting that you did not see in version 7. Most significantly, one of the key items that I would point to or two key items I'd point to are: one, in hardware on Unix systems, we now show whether an LPAR is capped or uncapped. We now show the max PVU capacity, the entitled capacity, all those things, all those little numbers, widgets, if you will, that are a part of a subcap calculation. You can now see them natively in the screen. No need to run external SQL and fancy things like that to grab some of the data. And that gets to the second bullet. The second key thing that I would suggest ILMT version 9 surfaces that was a difficult item in 7 is the ability to actually see what signature, what was the key to the discovery of something and where was it discovered. We've always had a challenge, or I should say consumers have always had a challenge. ILMT discovers an artifact of an install that perhaps was thought to have been removed, the removal wasn't complete, so forth and so on. How did ILMT discover it? We now show or reveal the install path and the signature for every piece of discovered software. That would then afford you the opportunity to go back and clean up those incomplete software removals or those false discoveries. Performance with the relays, far better in version 7. Again, we have customers running 250,000 endpoints, running not just ILMT, but some of the other business functionalities, like, as Eric was saying, like patch management, lifecycle, threat protection, that type of thing. The big difference between 7 and 9 endpoints is intelligence. Version 7 endpoints did one thing and one thing only. We collected IBM data. Version 9 endpoints actually are capable of running code, or fixlets. We call them fixlets and DAS, but essentially they are a mixture of code. Think of any command line window. We can execute any native system command as well as a number of things that are within the big fix code set. So conceivably, if I have an agent issue, I could conceivably reconcile that. I could certainly start and stop agents, go out and clear cache, directories, things like that. Better diagnostic reporting, absolutely, and more importantly, we can, again, because the agents have some intelligence to them, we can indeed harvest information centrally that would have been more difficult in version 7.5. We've already talked about the last bullet, the 19774 for the non-subcap metrics. Let's move to the next slide. Okay, so other odds and ends. Software catalog features. Another nice thing about version 7 that you were not able to easily see in, version 9 that you were not able to see easily in version 7 is the catalog. IBM publishes the catalog on a monthly basis. It contains the signatures, the basis for discovery, as well as the product relationships. You actually can peek into the catalog, view into the catalog, search the catalog to see what ILMT is capable of discovering. Just put in a product name, title, software title, and it will come back with the product component relationships as well as the signatures used for discovery. The categorized reporting, Eric was talking about that already. That gives you the ability to do sub-enterprise reporting. Part and parcel to that, as you set up those reporting groups, you can fence or restrict users to seeing just the data within their reporting group. I-series, if you happen to have an I-series or I5 or AS400 environment, version 7.5 had agents that we put out there. We ran as we would any other system or OS. Version 9 does not have a static agent that runs and reports automatically. We have replaced that with something like the standalone agent discovery in version 7. Essentially, you port the install package for versions for an I-series over to the I-series LPAR. You run it, you harvest the information, bring it back, and import it into the ILMT console. So it's not a steady state process running on iSeries. And it's something you'd likely do maybe once a month, maybe once a quarter, depending upon the velocity of change on your iSeries LPARs. Particularly interesting, session timeout. One of the irritating aspects of version 7 was you walk away, get a cup of coffee, and you come back and your session, ILMT session, expired and you had to log back in. You can extend the ILMT session parameters beyond the 30-minute timeout. So you could conceivably have an ILMT session going all day long, go to lunch, and it would still be active when you came back. Eric noted a bit about the audit trail. One of the key things that we have always been asked for in IBM related to ILMT is, how do I know who did what? The audit trail will track every changes made within bundling, exclusions, so forth and so on, parameter changes and the like. So we'll be able to see this user on this date bundled this component to a different product, and that's why my PVU calculation changed for one or two products. This inline fixlets and corrections. We have occasionally had PMRs raised related to incorrect PVU ratings, or we've had questions on, I'm running something in the cloud, how does ILMT account for that? Well, version 9 will allow for that. We allow for identifying things in the cloud environment. We allow for a PMR where the PVU rating has been discussed with support. You can change things on the fly, if you will, and that will obviously alter the PVU calculations. But rather than having agent statuses with no VM manager or having missing capacity scans, missing hardware scans, those are now correctable. Finally, the final thing in the activities, you actually have, and we'll get into this on the next slide, you have two consoles. You have the console into ILMT, which is where you do all of your license management functions, and you have a second console, which I'll talk about in a second, called the Big Fix console, and that ties into the Big Fix root server, which is where you do all of your scan scheduling, probably most of your agent remediation issues and the like. Next slide. This slide that you see in front of you is the new dashboard, the version 9 dashboard. Beyond being far more colorful, you'll see that it contains an awful lot of information beyond what you see in version 7. The top center and the top right give us good, deep summary health indicators for our software scan status, our capacity scan status. You have hyperlinks to get into filtered lists. That would be much like going into your agents container within version 7.5 and turn on filtering. It's now automatic for you, but you also in each of these have links to the pub site tech doc related to how to correct these items. The lower, or in the middle row, the middle center is essentially the same as your managed software inventory. Your bundling screen gives you some summary numbers, much like version 7 did in the upper right corner. Takes you with hyperlinks down to where you can do the bundling in the right. However, a couple of new screens. The inventory data is much like what you would have seen conceivably under managed software inventory, but more likely software components. It allows you to drill down and see all of your software inventory. You will notice something in the middle there called computer groups. That's how we would go about fencing or grouping computers together for reporting purposes by business unit or something like that, so you can get into filtered areas. And you don't see it in detail, but the lower left-hand corner is your software catalog to where you can start exploring the software catalog, so forth and so on. The drop-down box that you see up there also shows you a bit of that direct links to various items. If you look at the left column license metrics, you have the IBM PVU subcapacity report. That's essentially the same as your IBM audit report that you see in version 7. All metrics would show me both the PVU and the RVU, and likely some other items as well that currently we don't have discovery on from the Dash 4. The audit trail, that's the detail that you need to see who did what to when and when. And finally, that resource utilization, that is the tracking of those licenses that are the user-based, the non-PVU things, the 19770-4s. Go ahead and go on to the next slide, please. And I believe we're getting into the architecture now. So most of you are likely familiar with this slide, don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it. Other, you had agents, that's in the lower blue box, connected to the license metric tool server that had the TLMA database. And you could run that database in the license metric tool server pretty much anywhere other than an iSeries platform. And you had a web interface that you peeked into it, but it was a very flat structure with a single database or a single server database. Go to the next slide, please, which is our version 9. You will notice a little bit more complexity. Bullet number 3 on the far right bottom, those are all of my clients. Now these clients, again, they talk to, if you will, block number 2, which is the Big Fix server. And that Big Fix server supports not only ILMT and Big Fix inventory, but conceivably patch management, lifecycle, security, so forth and so on. So those endpoints in block 3 are capable of doing lots and lots of things. There is a separate server for ILMT. The Big Fix server collects general data. On a nightly basis, there's what we call an ETL upload, transformation or data transformation from the Big Fix server up to the LMT server. You will notice a couple of things here, however. The LMT server and the Big Fix server run on an x86 platform only. They do not run on Unix and the like. They run on Red Hat Linux and they run on Windows. Again, I think there's a slide a little bit further down on that as well. This is your new architecture. It is a multi-tiered architecture. It is a 2 application server architecture depending upon the size of your organization. Blocks 1 and 2 could live on 1 server or they could live on 4 servers depending upon how you construct your application components and database components. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. This is a cloud-based solution. This certainly could be handled as well. It's essentially the same thing with this exception. Obviously, the clients still live in the consumer world, in the customer world, but the Big Fix and the Big Fix root server and the ILMT and other applications would be hosted on a service provider, say somebody like Preferred Partners. And let's go to the the next slide. And I believe now I'm going to hand this back over to Eric, who will go through some more details about service offerings and that type of thing.
Great content. Thanks, Bay. I appreciate that. Moving along here, as just to talk a little bit more about the supported OSs for the servers. As Bay mentioned, the version 9 will run on either Linux or Windows with a DB2 and SQL Server backend. But we did want to give you kind of a list of some of the supported OSs for both platforms here, along with some of the versioning as well. So it's pretty universal. It's going to be supporting operating systems for the agents for Windows, AIX Linux, Z-Linux, Solaris, HP UX, and P-Linux. And then the only one it's not available for right now is for iSeries or AS400. And kind of moving into the next slide, these are some of the challenges so far. Support for ILMT version 9.2.3 is going to support iSeries and reporting a standalone reporting program. This is approximately going to be Q2, so Q2 of 2016, where that will be supported. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, version 7.2 of ILMT is going to sunset this September 2016. And then some of the workarounds when we engage with customers that are having issues with, have some IBM software running on iSeries. Right now, it is possible to provide a manual reporting exception on iSeries when running ILMT. What we do is we request permission from the IBM Enterprise License Management team. Once that permission has been granted or an exception has been granted, what we do is we compile all the data with the version 9 agents that is compatible, and anything on iSeries we do is kind of a one-off or a manual reporting. We combine all that and give you one complete picture. So even though as of right now it isn't supported iSeries reporting, we do have encounter that on a daily basis and have a solution in place, get their proper exceptions, and to give you an outlook of your entire PBU licensing there. Now I do want to turn it over to Anna Pullman. Anna's going to go through a little bit more expand on what they talked about around defining a migration path, and also provide a short demo as well.
Thanks, Eric. Hi again, everyone. My name is Anna Pullman, and I am one of the technical consultants here that install and deploy, architect the ILMT Big Fix environment for Preferred Partner. As Bay and Eric alluded to earlier, a migration is a decision that you need to make, determining on the health and the data validity of your 7.5 environment. So I kind of wanted to walk through some of the steps of implementing and possibly migrating over that content. The first step, obviously, since this is not an upgrade, it's an in-tandem kind of install. We'll be installing Big Fix and ILMT components separately from the 7.5 environment. You need to prepare that environment. Get the foundation of the Big Fix server, the database connectivity, and the database is built, and the ILMT component installed and kind of running at the base level. At that point, that's when you're going to kind of go out and look at your 7.5 current deployment, validate, and kind of identify all the areas in which we need to then deploy the 9 agents. There is a nice new deployment tool for version 9 that allows you to connect to those different endpoints and redeploy the agents out. That does make life a little bit easier than SneakerNet back in the days, but so that tool actually works pretty well. So once you complete the base installation piece, there is a map agent fixlet or task that is provided in the ILMT area that allows you to try to map your existing 7.5 agents to your 9.5 agents. Again, this is a migration task that you can go through. It helps to maintain some of the previous data component information that you've maybe captured in the past. The next step is to then go ahead and start scanning your infrastructure. There's some analysis pieces that need to be activated within the Big Fix infrastructure, and then we start scheduling and running the fixlets based on a good production scheduled time to run some of the scan software, and start identifying how we would want to deploy out and implement the scanners to your environment. The next step is then to schedule, or I'm sorry, to configure the virtual manager connection. So if we're running this in the PBU environment, we want to capture the PBU licensing. We need to be able to connect to that VM platform and configure and capture that information as well. So once we have the scanners in place, we've got your VM manager connected, then if we do need to migrate data, this is where we're going to start pulling in some of that configuration data that can help us, that can help you kind of not have to do some steps over again if necessary. Again, this is migrating over some configuration data and some bundling data. It's not pulling over any data history. It's also, one of the items here is as we go through and deploy this out and we do this migration, it's good to kind of look at your infrastructure and schedule these things out maybe in more of a development test area and then go into your production. You kind of do these in small buckets just to make sure you have the opportunity to verify and validate the information. As we go through and compare the endpoints, as we're comparing your bundling data, your exclusion data, as we want to go through and do that, looking at a small bucket of information is probably a little bit more clearer and clean cut for you than looking at 2,000 or 8,000 components all at once. So think about that in your migration project. You want to validate the migration statuses, kind of verify, again, troubleshoot any data issues, what maybe did or did not come over in your configuration migration. And then once we feel good about that, you're going to start implementing the remaining of the best practices of the Big Fix and ILMT environment. Continue on and finish out your deployment to all your endpoints and your scans, validating that you've got your fixlets scheduled on a regular basis, and then look at your audit reports, make sure that those are on schedule, get your procedures kind of in place. The last step here is then once you feel really good about your 9 deployment, to go back and then decommission your 7.5 environment. And that's really important to do because you still have those agents kind of deployed out there running on those systems. So it's recommended that you take and save all your soft copies, all your previous reports. Remember, you need to save those for 2 years. And then go out and remove and take off the 7.5 agents off of your servers. So now I want to kind of go into a small demo. You saw some of the screens. I kind of want to drill down into that a little bit and kind of show you what we've got going on here. Make sure we can see this. All right. Okay, so this is the screen that Bay was covering a little bit earlier. Just kind of want to walk through this a little bit just to kind of show you the usability of it. Again, across the top is really all those things that involve the health of the environment, whether it's the deployment health of your agents, making sure that they are not disconnected, making sure that you don't have an outdated version of the agent. It's very important. This is a care and feeding type of environment that you need to keep up to date. It's not a install and walk away. So keeping everything kind of up to date is very important, and making sure that your reporting is accurate. It also will let you know if you've got low disk space. That's kind of a really nice thing to know. Covers the, if anything's under 100 meg left on your system, it'll allow you to react to that maybe a little bit sooner than maybe some of the monitoring that you've got, other monitoring you've got going on. We'll let you know if the timing is out of sync or if they're missing certain prerequisites that are on that system that, again, require us to pull those scans, pull them in, and get accurate data. The middle widget is really all about the scan health of the environment. If you've had failed scans, if you're missing a software scan, if your software catalog is out of date, which is, again, very important. Those get provided by IBM once a month, and you have to, as an ILMT administrator, go out and pull in that new software catalog, import it into the system, and make sure that that continues to stay accurate. That will definitely help out with your bundling process later. The third widget on the far right is about the VM Manager connectivity for getting the scans and the information posted there. Again, each one of these links on the side give you an idea, a hyperlink, of maybe why that is happening. It's not the exact answer all the time, but it gives you an area to go look and validate what's kind of going on with that virtual manager connection. In the center row here, the IBM PVU subcapacity, that's the target of ILMT. It's going to talk about the PVU subcapacity. So in this box, the top 5 products will appear here. There's obviously, in a lot of cases, way more products that will be available in an environment. This is a small little test demo environment, so obviously our 2 show up. Give you an idea of what that subcapacity looks like, and also gives you an idea of your PVU table. This is the calculation table against those sockets and cores, and again, that comes out on a regular basis. One of those other items that need to be updated for the care and feeding of the product. In the middle box here, this is your software classifications. This is really your bang for your buck. This is where you'll spend a big meat of your time in the bundling process. And going into that very quickly here, just kind of giving you an idea of what that looks like, how the products are displayed. So these are identified components that were located on a system. The yellow little caution symbol there tells me that it has not been confirmed. Confirming is the way of validating that that product does exist on that endpoint. So it gives you the opportunity to go in, click on that again, to confirm that product. And then once it's confirmed, you can go ahead and include that product in your pricing calculation. Or if this is a bundled product, like with something else, then you can go ahead and exclude that or share that instance or reassign it to another product. From what I hear from the between the 7.5 and the 9, once you've made these choices, the bundling stays existent. In 7.5, I understand that was a problem where sometimes you would go ahead and bundle the product and you would go back in and that would disappear. That's not necessarily the case in ILMT 9. Also, if you notice, I haven't done any masterful bundling here. These are things that ILMT identified on its own. So it's for some auto bundling experience. So again, this is another nice feature of the new 9 environment. And then go back to the home screen. All right, so this last widget, he stated, as we stated, there is a listing of your inventory data. Again, allows you to kind of drill down in there real quick. Again, it's a nice little highlight and a way to go and quickly address and look at certain things very quickly. And then here at the bottom, scroll down here a little bit so you can see that maybe a little better. Maybe not. Is the software catalog. And in the software catalog, it now exposes, you're allowed to kind of drill down to the vast number of IBM products. And again, at the very bottom, you can't really see that. I wish I could scroll that down a little bit further for you. It actually talks about and tells you the version of that software catalog. Again, that's one of those items that needs to be updated on a monthly basis. So in the reporting, I kind of want to view the reporting a little bit. We talked about that there's the IBM subcapacity report, and then there's the IBM All Metrics report. This is where the snapshot is captured for the report that you need to retain on a quarterly basis and then for 2 years. So in this audit snapshot, this is where you click on the, and you're able to identify report. It'll generate a report. In 7.5, it generated a nice executive level type of report. This particular report is a download, a zip file containing a number of files itself. And it'll contain several CSV files. I'm going to show that to you. One second here, let me close that screen. No, it's not. It's open. It's not showing it. Sorry. So there we go back. So it'll end up showing the screen where you've got in that zip file, you've got the IBM subcapacity, a full capacity, and several other, the audit report, several other different items that you can retain about your environment that if you were to get audited, that's the full capacity of information that they would want to see. So from here, I'm going to just jump over to the Big Fix environment because this is a real big difference. Switch over to that here. Make sure I share the right screen here. There we go. All right. Sorry. Application. I want to share this particular screen in a moment. Oh, here we go. I got it. All right, there we go. Sorry about that. All right, so this is the Big Fix console. This is an item that you haven't seen before. In the Big Fix console, keeping in mind that this is the new infrastructure that ILMT is built off of, it is a very seasoned, robust, well-tested tool. Its primary purposes are to provide access and visibility to other modules that it provides, like system patch management, lifecycle management, protection, compliance, server automation. So it is a very robust system that has a lot of capabilities. And so this is the big foundation for ILMT. It's doing the majority of the work and then posts that over to ILMT. So in the Big Fix console, just kind of running through a little bit of the deployment overview. Again, there's a lot of things going on here. You're able to build this infrastructure with relays that can span across different network infrastructures that you might have, your DMZ, helping to validate and make sure that it's not, the connectivity isn't taking up too much of your bandwidth, or just has an easier way of communicating to different areas of your organization and reporting back accurately. Let's scroll down here. Once you have your agents deployed in the environment, you're able to see those computers very quickly. They report up into the environment. It captures some initial information that is really helpful. In some organizations, this may be great information to see in one space. You're able to click on and go into the information and drill down into the core properties and custom properties of the application and just kind of see what's being reported. When you implement the ILMT tool, it's an external site down here towards the bottom, and they have this item called Fix List and Tasks, as we alluded to. And these are the items that give you opportunities to go ahead and schedule the scanners, run the capacity scanners, update the tool. So the care and feeding, the Big Fix environment make the care and feeding a lot easier versus 7.5, allowing you again to send out the updates to the environment and schedule your scans and actually see the history and the success of those scans. Performs a separate analysis to pull back certain information. So this is a nice little highlight of the Big Fix environment. Again, there's a lot more to this. This is definitely just a highlight. This has a lot of opportunity. It can be a robust new feature into your environment. So I'm going to turn this back over to Eric. Please get a hold of us if you have any further questions about the tool.
Awesome. Thanks, Anna. So we want to talk to you a little bit more about some of our preferred partners deployment services. As a certified partner, preferred partners software asset management experts can really help you deploy and manage a really a comprehensive SAM strategy. Obviously with ILMT, but you know, tracking your PBU and non-PBU as well, because that's all important to give you a clear picture of your entire IBM enterprise. So a couple areas where we engage with customers and we really customize to best meet your needs and skill level around the tool. But we do have a quick start, almost essential POC, where we'll develop a small install and configuration of deploy some agents, kind of show you the basics there, show you how it reports back, and whatever does report back, match that up with what's on your entitlements, and obviously provide a knowledge and knowledge transfer there and mentoring. Also do really a health assessment. Oftentimes we'll engage with customers and you know they're getting reporting back, but it's you know maybe some of the agents aren't working well or you know they're bad overall. So we'll do an overall health assessment, provide some tuning recommendations, and recommend some enablement strategies. From that, it kind of coincides right with that health assessment, or as a result of that health assessment is the deployment and tuning, where we can deploy some ILMT in your production environment and also tune and do some initial reporting there as well, kind of show you the basics. Also moving on, bundling and reporting. This is really the most challenging aspect of ILMT that we find with our consumers. As I mentioned on the onset of this presentation webinar, we are licensing experts. We do deal with IBM licensing every day because that's all we do. It is our business. And because of that, our bundling and reporting, we understand different software packages, and we recognize how to match those up with your entitlements there. So that's definitely very popular. And then ongoing managed service. Obviously, it's not something we just go in, install, give you a few pointers and then leave. We always want to look long term when we get into these engagements. We want to ensure compliance long term and understanding of the tools and understanding your environment. And so that's where our managed service comes into play, and there's really two prongs with that. You have your platform management, where it's more the steady state of the environment. You know, we update any patches that need to be done or any updates to the environment. And then the second prong of that is the software asset management. That's where we're going to take the reporting of the agents and validate that with your entitlements, any type of new server installations or new software, IBM software rollouts. We want to be on top of that to add that into our process there on a quarterly basis. We're going to maintain the software catalog and update the PBU table and part numbers list. And just perform those and validate those quarterly reporting with you, so you have a line of sight on, you know, maybe you're over deployed or under deployed, and it gives you better line of sight if you are over deployed on a solution. You know, you can identify coverage gaps and address those well before being in an compliance situation. Or if you're paying more on your maintenance for that PBU software or non-PBU software, then really what your organization's utilizing, it's going to give you an opportunity come that anniversary date to kind of scale that back and really and utilize your and be as efficient as possible with your software renewals. So moving on, just as a, we're a firm believer in being audit ready and audit readiness. Again, obviously this is geared towards 7X and TAD4D customers looking to 9. So if I do want to make an offering, it's usually something that we do as a billable engagement. But for those of you that took the time out of your day to hear our content here today, I do want to offer our upgrade evaluation offering. We're going to go in and really do a quick assessment and understand your current challenges with ILMT 7.2 or 7X or TAD4D. We will be able to review your current entitlements, review your most recent audit report, and really provide a high-level assessment and recommendations moving to 9. Obviously, Bay touched on when to migrate, when to upgrade. We can really make that evaluation for you, and then that's really just a part of spending your afternoon or morning with us here. So I do want to thank you. Again, my name's Eric Maxwell, and I do want to thank Bay Van Horn and Anna Pullman for taking the time as well to go through a lot of good content, and really hope you all found that useful today. So I want to appreciate your time, and we will send this presentation out, but don't hesitate in the meantime to reach out with any questions. Thank you. Have a good day.